Hi, welcome to Illustrated Bearde, brought to you by Fantasy Shop, best in comics and games since 1981. I'm Nate.
I'm Jason.
We're going to talk about comic books.
Yes, we are. Yeah. Batman Superman #1 from DC Comics. We have Greg Pak, Jay Lee, Ben Oliver, amazing team doing this book. Normally, I am not the kind of guy who likes multiple artists on a book. I've made that very clear over the past couple days talking about it. This actually works really well. There is one of the characters gets transported to another Earth, and they use a separate artist for that Earth, so you never are confused about what Earth you're looking at. And Jay Lee,
I feel the same way. Artist changes should
have meaning within the story.
There should be at least like a break in where the story is.
Right.
That's how I feel.
Exactly. It flows very nice. And both Jay Lee and Ben Oliver are very amazing at what they do. I've said about Jay Lee that he's not great because his art is spectacular or overwhelming like guys like Jim Lee or Ivan Rice. His art is just very unique. Mm-hmm. There's just something about it. It's a turnoff for people. Some people look at it and think, oh, that's weird.
It is weird. I like it. It actually makes me a little nervous, and I don't know why. Like, the visuals on his art makes me nervous.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't know why it is. He did the cover, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he did
I don't
the
know.
cover.
It's the shading and the coloration.
He does things he plays with shadows and does things with faces and stuff. I don't know. There's something weird about it. Can't really put my finger on what it is, but I like it. I've always thought that it was really good. He used to do Dark Tower.
He did all the covers for Ozymandias. I think he did all the internal art.
He did internal art for Ozymandias for the Before Watchmen stuff too. But yeah, he did the first story when they did the Dark Tower adaptations, the Stephen King Dark Tower adaptations, and he did the covers pretty much for that whole run.
Lee Oliver's art seemed to be a little bit more, or not Lee, Ben Oliver seemed to be a little bit more run-of-the-mill.
Yeah, Ben Oliver's...
Which isn't, like, that's not an insult.
No.
It seemed...
No, it's beautiful. It's very detailed. I really love what he does with the way Batman looks. He looks very scary. He's always... Even in the daylight, he's always kind of shrouded in shadow. Other than, talking about how it's written, how it, the art looks, it was a really good read. It kind of goes into this first meeting of Batman and Superman in the New 52 universe. They kind of cross paths in Justice League, and I guess if you looked at it outside of the dialogue, you would think that was their first meeting, but they never actually made it empirically clear that was their first meeting. So this is cool. They can go back and we're seeing some things that how they interact with each other, how their relationship is built.
It's also interesting to see their alter egos meet for the first time as well.
Yeah.
And I'm not a Superman fan, but this was pretty solid.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's why the Batman and Superman dynamic works. If you don't care about Superman or you don't read about him, he is a legitimate character, and the way he interacts with Batman proves that. He does have his own kind of motivations and need to be a hero. But it's Clark as the journalist kind of investigating some murders, Wayne Enterprises. Specifically Wayne Enterprises employees. And that's how he ends up crossing paths with Bruce Wayne. And it all leads back to Metropolis. Catwoman pops in. There's a fight between Batman and Superman. And again, I won't tell you which, but one of the characters gets shunted off to Earth 2, meets the other person's counterpart from Earth 2, and another fight ensues. And it builds to something that's really cool on an emotional level for the character, I think.
Yep.
And I really enjoyed that. Like we talked about earlier, I mean, the art is just fantastic. It keeps you going the whole time. But yeah, I mean, it's a great story, and I definitely recommend picking it up.
Yeah, it was definitely solid. And like I said, from somebody who I normally don't want to give Superman books the time of day, but this was a really solid book. And I look forward to the second issue for sure.
I do too. I mean, they definitely leave you with a cliffhanger that kind of makes you want to know what's going to happen next.
Yeah,
it really does.
A lot happens.
Yeah. In just this short, 30 pages or so, there's so much meat to the story. It just really drags you forward and makes you want to come back for more.
Indeed.
So, Batman Superman #1 on my shelf now. Pick it up.
All right. Hawkeye #11.
Ugh.
This is an issue that I've been waiting for the entire month. Lucky, aka Pizza Dog, which is Hawkeye's dog, who apparently also goes by Pizza Dog now, became the dog.
It's very evident in the issue, though.
It is extremely evident. Became the dog of the greatest sharpshooter known to man, Hawkeye, aka Clint Barton, after being rescued from his tracksuit-wearing, bro-using, vaguely Eastern European, completely abusive owners. This is what he does pretty much every day because he is a dog. So this whole
bro using. I like that.
That's been a motif in this comic. Is the bad guys are
stereotypical mafia guys.
It's extremely stereotypical.
They're in tracksuits.
They all wear the same. They all wear the same tracksuit. The only thing that's different about any of them is the faces. And one thing that cracked me up about this issue, it's all from Hawkeye's dog's point of view, and he's essentially investigating a murder. And since dogs don't have word bubbles, and apparently they don't really have thought bubbles, this appears to just be scent bubbles. It shows you, like, pretty plainly he's connecting what's happening via scent and trying to understand, I guess, what's happening. There's a part where, like, he's like, oh, there's a murdered person here, and then, like, sits down and eats garbage pizza, and then gets back up and continues, like, investigating this. But what cracked me up is that the dialogue is all scribbles except for words like don't.
Yeah.
And
words that the dog would understand.
Like anytime Hawkeye's talking or Kate's talking or any of the other characters are talking, it's blank, 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 me, blank, 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 help, blank, don't, blank, Kate, blank, up. Like it's all gibberish except for words that a dog might understand.
The scents were very good too. Like he's walking through the apartment building, and you know, obviously
it's constantly showing you.
Obviously he knows who these people are. He lives in this building with Clint. But you get the scent bubbles that connect, like what these people smell like at this particular moment.
It'll show like here's a picture of
the person,
of a coffee pot and a bowl of dog food, and then Clint's face. Like this character smells like pizza, coffee, and flowers. Like it's hysterical. But it looks like there's also sounds because it shows music notes. Yeah. So I think it's just like this is how a dog thinks, is just sounds, images, and smells.
Well, I love when comics do this. There have been several comics throughout the years that have done very unique perspectives on things. Some with no dialogue in them at all. Yeah,
and there's a few pages that where I guess it's when the dog is piecing together what happened with this murder. It's almost like a diagram layout of what happened. Yeah. So it's like the dog just put this all together, and that's the way the dog sees it. Is like it all was kind of just one thing. Yeah. And I know it's interesting because I kind of had to flip through this a few times to fully grasp what was going on. I have literally 2 complaints about this book, and it's that there wasn't at least one scratch and sniff page, and it's that I just realized that
would have been a great gimmick for this book.
Oh yeah,
Put a scratch and sniff page.
I hereby request Marvel for a scratch and sniff variant for this.
Do it.
And it's great because it's almost a silent issue. Like to follow what's happening with this narrative, you really need to check out the art, and that's. For me, the art is one of the handful of things that makes this book my favorite superhero book.
It turns off a lot of people. A lot of people. It does, that's what I hear in our store when I talk about Hawkeye.
Literally, the only reason I've ever heard anyone say they don't like this book is because of the art. Yeah. And I don't think that it's bad art. It's just that it looks very much like pop art.
Yeah, it's very minimal. Like it's not flashy. The colors are very toned down. And I think that's one of the arguments I always tell people when they say, "Oh, I'm just kind of turned off by the art." But if you read the book, the art is the exact style it needs to be for the story.
It's because it's about Hawkeye living in the Lower East Side.
Right. It's not about his superhero time. It's about his life as Clint Barton. But like I said, this is just a fantastic book. I mean, a while ago we reviewed Batman and Robin when it was that silent issue that they did, R.I.P. moment for Robin. Mm-hmm. And I felt the same about that book that I feel about this book. I didn't need any dialogue. Everything is conveyed so perfectly.
And to me, that's a sign of an awesome creative team. So with that, this book's incredible.
It is.
And everybody who has ever wanted to be a fan of Hawkeye but found that old Hawkeye series weren't good, pick this up because it's amazing.
It really is, yeah. Hawkeye continues to be one of the books in Marvel that is most impressive to me. This book just does such a good job of making this character feel real. The Hawkeye number 11 from Marvel, man, check it out. It is great. One more thing I do want to talk about is the previews book that just came out, and I won't actually pull it out and do anything, but something that's really cool that came out of it is DC Comics is going to do in September for the anniversary of New 52, and it's Villains Month. It's starting with a book they're calling Forever Evil, which is literally a story about what the preview says, literally a story about the heroes failing. They have been defeated, and the villains are now running the world. And it just seems very interesting. There's some interesting villains that they're bringing in, some that we've seen, some that we haven't seen. It should be really, really awesome. I cannot wait.
It does sound awesome.
Yeah, and the previews is on the shelf. Check it out. It looks great. All right, well, that brings us to the end of episode 8 of Illustrated Bearde.
Thanks for watching.
Yes, as always, we will see you next week.
And cut.